Hello, everyone. This is Jen Slay,
And I'm Shirley Brooks.
and we are in conversation today with the amazing Camille Davis, who is the host of Meet the Media and I want to make sure to get this right, the creator and CEO of Montage Public Relations. We're so excited to
Yeah,
have you.
thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here amongst my sisters. I mean, it really is. This is a horrible time, but I think that we're really coming together, building community. We're strengthening this sisterhood thing. So I'm honored to be a part of the conversation.
Awesome. And it's
Awesome.
international because I'm in Canada.
And I'm in Atlanta.
I heard, oh my goodness, I heard that you were in Canada, but I had no idea that you guys were in two separate places. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Power to you.
The power of
Yes.
social media, I'm telling you, we met on Facebook and then
Yeah.
we've been close ever since. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay. That's been good.
That's beautiful.
Yes,
All
ma'am. And
right.
you're in DC, right?
Yes, I am.
Cool beans. I love your T-shirt too. What is that?
Black publicists are the solution.
Yes. Love it.
Black
So-
publicists, hire Black publicists, hire Black publicists.
We are going to talk about that. I was looking at something on your social media, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about that later on. But right now, I want people to get to know Camille, the woman. So tell us about you and a little bit about your journey, and then tell us about your big media and the montage and the Meet Media thing.
Yes.
I know it's a lot, right? But we're ever evolving. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So basically, I have a traditional background in public relations. I went to school for PR. I graduated from Penn State in 2007. I then went on to kind of what I thought to tailor my public relations experience towards just sports management. However, I was introduced to the world of tourism. So I got my master's of tourism administration, and that's why I essentially named my business Montage PR, because we don't necessarily have just one lane or one industry that we represent. It's really multifaceted. So since I opened my business in 2010, I'm really lucky to be in business today. As we know, small businesses really do not see, past 2 to 5 years,
Right,
in
yeah.
general. And imagine the percentage of those that are minority-owned businesses are even fewer.
Mhm.
So it's really a pleasure that I'm here in business 10 years down the line, and I've really started to be more conscious in my efforts. I'm really shifting and focusing on small businesses, Black-owned businesses, and women-owned businesses, because I feel like they are the ones that are strengthening our communities the most, and they need our support the most as well, in order for them to reach, longevity. So with Montage PR, again, I started that in 2010. I'm now focusing on the small businesses and women-owned businesses. However, about a year ago, I teamed up with Women for the Culture, because I just had this want to bring women together. I know that we're more powerful together than we are apart.
Yeah.
Women are just powerful individuals in general, but imagine if we can harness that energy, the things that we can do for each other and how we can uplift and propel each other. So I've been telling women's stories, particularly women of color, over on womenfortheculture.com. And these are everyday women, from your entrepreneurs to your mompreneurs.
I think we got
Uh-oh.
stuck.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We got stuck.
She might
You know,
come back in. Oh,
There,
we can hear you now.
there you are. There you
Yeah.
are.
I'm sorry, you guys.
It's
No,
okay.
you're okay. You
It's all
can pick
good.
back up with the mompreneur. That's where we lost you.
That's been a whole new life for me, being a mompreneur. I saw women working, but I think that before we were always taught that we couldn't have it all. I can't have my 9 to 5, but then still be full-time with my son, or I can't bring my son to work with me, or I have him running around in the background because I don't want to be deemed as unprofessional. But I
Right.
think due to COVID-19, I think that now more than ever, we've kind of lost sight of what's traditional,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think that we're just kind of claiming it all. So that's what I'm really doing right now. And with Meet the Media, I'm again trying to amplify Black voices and women of color. I'm trying to show that there are so many different roles of people of color. How can we aspire to fulfill these roles if we don't see people looking like us in these positions on a daily basis?
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to do, is control the narrative, you know? So I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I feel like now is the time.
No, you've answered like 3 of my questions already.
It's like I'm listening to you and I'm excited. I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
Because it resonates with us, because that's kind of what we're about too. It's like, it's very similar, or actually probably the same as what, you know, where we like to focus and what we like to do, and why we're even doing this, you know, discussion with you right now. I don't know if we lost it with the when the feed went out a bit, but what inspired you to even want to pick up on what you're doing right now in terms of even with the Montage public relations? Like, what inspired that? What inspired media, your Meet Media? What inspired all of that?
Yeah, well, going into starting Montage PR, really, I didn't have an opportunity in the industry. I applied to all of the public relations giants, the Hill and Knowltons, the Weber Shandwick, the Ogilvies, and those big people were not hiring. At the time, I thought it was because we were in the middle of a recession. Now that we're dealing with so much in our culture, and that we're really pointing an eye to systematic and institutional racism, I'm starting to think that maybe I didn't get those jobs because I was Black, even though I went to Penn State.
You have like the educational credentials to back it up, and it's still not enough.
We're told that there's only going to be one. You have to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know, so I set myself up to going to Penn State, a huge institution, thinking that this is going to advance my resume, and I was left to do it for myself. I never envisioned being an entrepreneur, but I said I'm going to do it for myself, and that's why I launched Montage PR in 2010. It wasn't until I teamed up with Women for the Culture. I don't even remember how we got together, but the founder, Nikki for the Culture, I think she might have been looking for writers. I'm not exactly sure, but I knew that I was at a point where I wanted to consume positive content. So I loved what she was doing over there. I reached out to her, and because of collaboration over competition, because of like-minded individuals that can see something in you that you may not be able to see in yourself, she allowed me to come over to her platform. And she said, take it over, do whatever you want to do. I think your voice needs to be heard. We have to have women pouring into other women. We have to have women empowering other women, or else we may not reach our true potential. It wasn't until I started working with Women for the Culture that I said, wow, let me start interviewing some people behind the scenes in the media industry. I wish that growing up as a child, I took field trips to newsrooms. Imagine if you got to see, you know, the behind the scenes, the change makers, the gatekeepers, what they do on a daily basis. I would have loved and maybe saw, oh, maybe I can be an anchor one day, or I can do this. Again, it's about pushing the agenda, pushing those images to the forefront.
And creating experiences.
I have to
creating experiences.
Thank you.
Because I'm so glad you said that, because I remember when I was growing up, the choices to me from my parents, who I will put in context, Caribbean, I'm first generation. So the options to me were lawyer, doctor, teacher, right?
Yes.
And so for me, I'm like, well, is there nothing else? So maybe I'll go into teaching. And my dad's like, no, we're in teaching and it's just hectic. So do something else. I didn't want
My parents were police officers. Same conversation. They refused to let me become a police officer, but they pushed the lawyer. They pushed the doctor. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, had I known that there was a myriad of different things out there, just like you said, anchor woman, or writers or directors, or
behind the scenes, right?
Anything.
And I think it's
different, right? Because
a mindset
thing. What I would have done. Right?
But I think it's a mindset thing. Like, we were not, I was just talking to my son about this earlier. You said they weren't hiring, so you had to start your own thing. And now, you know, it's important that we teach our kids that, like, you don't have to try to get at their table, make your own.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why our parents were always like, be a doctor, be a lawyer, do these things that that will help you have a bright future in their world, as opposed to find your own way with what your unique talents are and be successful as you, versus trying to fit, like, what do they say, the square peg into a circle, or whatever the the cliche is. But that's amazing. That's amazing. And then
So I just want to, sorry, Shirley, I just want to clarify something though. What is Women for the Culture?
So Women for the Culture essentially is a safe space. We want women to feel like they have a community where they can come together and be vulnerable, that they can come together and be transparent about the issues that they're going through, and listen to other women who have been through those same experiences. And they can give you tips on self-care, on mental health, on, you know, being a better businesswoman. We literally give them tips and tools of how to become entrepreneurs, how to start a business. We don't have headlines talking about, you know, 6 shootings last night in the east side of Chicago. This is about this 16-year-old entrepreneur is out there doing it for the culture. We're highlighting people on the ground level. This doesn't have to be about what celebrities are doing. These are real women showing real stories. And we're doing that so that we can empower and inspire each other. Hopefully, you know, maybe you're having a low day, but you can come over to Women for the Culture and see a positive quote on your timeline as the first thing that you see in the morning. We're trying to shift that mindset and let people know that your sister can be here for you, and that we're not all out here against each other. We're really trying to support each other and make each other be the best that we can be.
That's awesome. I love it because, you know, one of the things that they say that has contributed negatively to why a lot of things that we need to have done in our community are not getting done is because of the lack of trust for each other, to be able to want to work together and, you know, be okay with maybe taking the back seat but still being a part of the team, like how you went into Women of Culture to start with, and then you ended up, you know, almost taking over. But you started out in a humble spot, and you were open, and she was open to collaborating with you as well. She wasn't afraid of, if I let you take the lead, then that means you get all the credit. Like, it's not that at all. It's collaborative, and that's what's missing. And I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. We have to take our power back, and we have to realize what society has done to us for so many years.
Right. Oh, it's so much we could sit here and talk about, like, for more than the 30-minute window. Oh my gosh.
I know. I know.
So with everything that you're doing, what were some of the challenges you faced along the way, and that you would want, you know, women to know about to help them kind of make it to the next step?
Absolutely. One in particular that comes to mind, because I was just doing my Black Publicists Are the Solution press tour. Last night, I was with my manager, Chandra Gore, and we did an interview for a writer and host over at Rolling Out Magazine. His name is Rodney Wash. So we sat with him and we kind of hinted at, in our industry, just as we're saying how Black women are pinned against each other, it's the same thing in public relations. We're competing. We're competing for the headlines. We're competing for the clients. You know, a lot of instances, I've had clients appear at events and other publicists will try to steal them from me. And that's been the beauty of teaming up with like-minded individuals like Chandra Gore. We formed the PR Collective together because one instance I had where I had 2 of my clients booked for an interview. One was in Baltimore, one was like 2 hours away. Basically, same time, I couldn't be at 2 places at once. I needed a girlfriend that I could call on. I needed someone that I could trust, that is an expert in her own right, and that I knew could handle business the way that I would, should I be present. I never felt like this before. Not only did Chandra show up for me and my client, she was exceptional. I'm the type of publicist where I'll literally shine your shoes before you go on air because I want it to be perfect. I'm literally picking the lint. I'm lint rolling your clothes because image is everything. She was me without me even being there. It was so reassuring to hear from my client that she took such good care of them the way that I would. And I think that that's so important, that I can have those relationships and not have the fear that my sister will come and steal my client. You know what I mean? I think that if there's any tip that I could give today, it's that we have to be able to come together and support each other and trust one another and stop, doing the underhandedness. I think that business tries to teach you that you have to be willing to kick the one person down in front of you in order to move forward. And that's no longer the case.
Yeah.
I just want to leave everybody with that tip, that this can happen. You have to pull together these like-minded experts, people basically that have the same goals in mind. There's no reason why we can't align and make each other better.
There's enough business for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than enough business for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And my shine doesn't block yours, right?
That's the thing. It's like we're all uniquely good at different things. Like even if it's the same, there's a spice that you bring that's different than the spice that somebody else might bring. You pull it all together and you make a really good dish. So
yes.
It's a good flavor. Yes.
So just to follow up on what Shirley was saying, we all have beliefs. We're born with beliefs, and oftentimes when we get into business, there's these false beliefs that can pose a challenge in growing your business, right? And it's either from other people or it can be from yourself. So what were some mental blocks when you were growing your business that you experienced?
Well, the first thing that came to mind was, even when starting my business, I was highly discouraged, and particularly for my family. So we'll go back to us saying how our parents had a specific mindset on what success was, right?
Uh-huh.
Entrepreneurship was not something that was encouraged. It wasn't even spoken of or heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we as creatives, we have like a special power, and I try to use this in being this mompreneur and raising my son. I want to foster everything that he's doing. Every single step that he's making every day, I'm looking at him. How can we turn this into a business? I'm pouring that into him and letting him know, hey, you can have a YouTube show, right? You can, is this what you want to do? I think we have to listen to each other now more than ever, right? I think that, so being a mompreneur has really changed for me kind of the trajectory for generations to come.
Yes.
I think that it kind of ends here, that we have the power to produce a whole generation of entrepreneurs behind us. So my one tip that I want to say is, don't let the negativity or the naysayers discourage you from your path. My grandmother in particular used to tell me, just get a good government job, because it was all about stability and having a retirement and setting up something for the future.
Yeah.
If only I had done that, I would have limited myself. And look at how many other people I'm putting in position by promoting their businesses.
Right.
Even though it's a struggle every single day and I have to hit the pavement and earn every single dollar that I bring in, it's fulfilling to me. Even my father, he used to laugh at me when I said, okay, I'm going to work. He would literally laugh at me until they start seeing you on the news with your client. And then they see, oh, this is really a job, So I just don't have that regret. If I could leave this with anyone who may be listening, do it. You'll never know until you try. And if no one believes in you, you have to believe in yourself, because they may not understand. They may just really not understand what being an entrepreneur means. Maybe that's foreign to them. So how could they relate to you and what you're going through, what you're trying to build for yourself? Keep moving.
Yeah. What is poured into us, right? And what God put into us, the other people don't have to understand.
Right.
That's the thing. And we just have to do what we need to do to foster it and bring it out. Because if it's
And
in us,
give it to you
then
for nothing.
exactly. If it's in us, then some way God will make it happen.
Yes.
Right.
But you got to take those steps.
Yeah, you got to
take those steps and believe in yourself.
I
So
don't know if they hear us. I don't know if they hear us, y'all.
I hope so. I hope so. I think they will. It's a lot of conversations like this going on, and I think they will hear us. In the current environment, companies are like taking a stand on, supporting the BLM movement and, support Black business and stuff like that. How important is it for companies to actually hire Black publicists?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you asked me this question. We've seen over the past couple weeks major corporations posting their statements, right? Saying how much they love Black people. No, we love you guys. Please keep giving us your money.
Right.
But that's not good enough.
No.
Where are the Black people on your executive team?
Yes,
Show us the faces that you're hiring. Where's the Black publicist? Because who better to communicate your message with me than someone who's already in my culture that understands what I like to watch, what I like to wear, what I like to consume. You can't tell me that a white publicist can communicate that message to me. Only a Black publicist can, right? Who better to relate to all of the Black publications and to make sure that your message reaches the masses? If you don't have a Black publicist, you can't tell me that Caucasian publicists have made relationships with these Black reporters and Black journalists and Black editors. You can't tell me.
Right.
I think that we need to hold these companies accountable. I think that it's no good in issuing a statement if you're not going to build campaigns from that. I want to know what you're doing moving forward. I want to know how you're going to highlight positive Black images in your messaging and your advertisement. Are you going to show more Black images? Are you going to hire more Black employees at your company? I think that it takes a person of color on your team to highlight what your values should be. And not only communicate that to your customers, but also your stakeholders. Here is what we believe in, and here is how we're going to operate moving forward. And that Black publicist is going to hold you accountable, and they're going to create milestones that make you achieve your goal, to make sure that
hold you accountable to what you said you're going to do, and to be able to show the evidence of what you're actually doing. Have your KPIs and be transparent. I am here for it. Yes, ma'am.
Studies show that the most successful companies, and successful meaning not only money, but in terms of turnover, like people wanting to stay within the company and longevity and stuff like that, are the companies that have diversity on the upper levels, right? Because different ideas will come into the room,
right?
Because if everybody is the same, then you have no diversity. You can't hit the masses. You can only hit one sector,
right?
Yeah. And I'm glad you said upper level as well. These are the people that are really bringing it to the table. And making sure
they make the actual decisions that influence everything that goes on in the organization.
Yep.
So going back to the publicist and branding and stuff like that, you said that as a branding expert, you feel it's important to understand how the media looks at what is pitched. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes. In branding, I think that people need to understand that the stories in which you're selling need to align with what's the image and the representation that you want, your brand identity. What do you want your customers to think about you? And right now, I think that because Black Lives Matter is, the central topic, that of course Black stories are needed now more than ever. But I want to call the attention to the fact that I want people to realize that this is not just a trend or a fad, I want them to realize that they're only telling your stories because this is what we're consuming right now. It's relevant, it's timely. We need to hold media accountable, that this needs to be every day moving forward.
Yes.
The messages that we're putting out should not just be simply because it's cool to be Black right now. make sure that the images and the messages that you're communicating or pitching with the media are still in alignment with what your brand represents. So for instance, me, Montage PR, I'm talking to you guys about small business, about women-owned business. It wouldn't behoove me to, you know, go on the news and present the next 5 images, you know, or fashion must-haves. That's not within my brand image. And I
Right.
need the media to realize what is superficial, what people are trying to kind of ride the Black Lives Matter train and tail on, and really highlight and pinpoint some trailblazers coming out of the community, some people that are really, you know, really trying to make change. I think that that's what it should really be about. So we have to hold the media, you know, accountable as well, you know, and that's mainstream media as well. We need them telling Black stories too, not just the urban publications. You know, I want people to really align on this. You know, what are your values? If you're saying that you value people of color, I need that to be shown at the pitch table as well. I need to make sure that our stories are considered, not just now, but in the future moving forward as well. And that's mainstream, not just Black publications. I want the Washington Post to have Black stories on their front cover. I want USA Today to have Black stories on their cover. We can no longer become segregated because, unfortunately, the media has a lot to do with it.
Right.
We would not feel this way in society if we had the Washington Post having those Black stories on the front. It's just
Positive Black stories. Yeah.
And that's
Because I think
exactly
they
what I
go
was
out of
about
their
to say.
way. Yeah, I think the media will go out of their way to present stories that are, and you know, I know you know that, but I just wanted to say it. It's like, you know, they go out of their way to produce or promote the negative stories in our culture, but not much positive. And there's so much more positive going on in our communities and in our culture than what the media will present. And like you said earlier, if the next generation is not seeing that, they won't really have hope for a future, because all they see is all the negative. They don't see what's possible. And so to see just the everyday average person, like what you guys are doing with Women for the Culture and stuff like that, to see the average person having success in life, that's more important. That's a better narrative.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the
absolutely.
negative stories, what I'm seeing a lot of right now are not even just the negative stories, because nobody wants to speak negatively of the Black culture right now because they're going to be crucified. However, they have no problem talking about all of how victimized we have been. And I'm concerned right now that we're going to become victims, and that's going to be the new narrative. And it's like, because one of the things that I tell people all the time, especially my white friends, are, this is not new. This is new for you. It is not new to us. So as much as I appreciate you wanting to jump on board and help and support, just know that none of this is new.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with this forever. So we're moving forward. We're not at the shocked place that you're at.
Right. That's what it is. It's like, this is not shocking for us. We've been living this.
We're frustrated. We're tired. We're exhausted.
But with that said, in order for things to get better, it is going to take a collaboration of everyone, right? Not just Black people, not just white people, not just Latino. It's going to take everyone coming together to move us forward in a positive way.
And that's what I've been saying over at Women for the Culture. You don't have to be Black to be a woman for the culture. Right. You know, I think that's what people don't understand, is they see that we have these, you know, these communities, but no one is segregating you from these communities. You know, our allies are just as important as we are to the movement, you know? So I just want to encourage women, you know, that when you see, you know, I interviewed the founder of Black Label. She has an Instagram account where she's doing only positive Black stories. Don't think that being pro-Black is being anti-white, you know? I don't know how I can say that more. We need community. We need support, you know, and I think that that's what it's going to do, what it's going to take to spark change, is not only having these communities and safe places where we can have these conversations, but having these allies come in and support us and hold their counterparts accountable as well. You know, it's going to take a community effort.
Yeah.
Awesome. 30 minutes is up.
Already?
I know.
You guys.
We're going to have to do this again.
Yes.
You have to have an hour-long show, but I would love to come back, please, anytime.
Oh, that is
Yes,
awesome.
ma'am, for sure.
Next time we might do a live. Maybe we'll do a live next time.
Yeah, I think that would be good. To do a live and have like some good open dialogue, maybe get some good comments going and stuff like that.
We got to have those conversations, no matter how uncomfortable they may seem. That's what's the spark change.
So how can people find you, Camille?
Thank you. Well, if you're looking for me personally, please follow me at Montage PR. That's MONTAGE PR. That's across all boards. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I really try to tell people to go to my Instagram page because I can show you better than I can tell you. And that's kind of like a visual representation of my resume in a sense. But I also am on a team at the PR Collective DC. It's PR Collective DC on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And there you can find me, Chandra Gore, and any woman who wants to come together and collaborate rather than compete. We are really actively forming these groups and we are making change, and we're going to show them that it is possible. And of course, Women for the Culture, Meet the Media. You know, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm trying to do it all. So please support me. I really appreciate it. And it's not about me. It's about all of these other change makers that we need to hire and thrust, you know, to the forefront.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah,
Love
awesome.
it.
Well, it was amazing having you. We really appreciate your time today. Like we said earlier, like this 30 minutes went by so fast, and everything is just, you're so full of amazing knowledge and your heart is in the perfect place. Best of luck on everything that you're doing. I'm sure we'll talk again in the future. Thank you everybody for joining us, and we hope you got some great information from Miss Camille. We will put all her details in the comments on this video, and just have an amazing day, people, and make sure that you are living in a collaborative spirit. We don't have to compete, like Miss Camille said. We can work together, black, white, whatever color, and male, female, whatever it is. We can do this together.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.